You could build power by not putting others down, but by lifting them up. Hey, I'm Nivea and I hope you're doing good. Today I'm going to review the memoir, A Promised Land by Barack Obama. Before I review this book, let me tell you upfront that I do not like politics. I am not a lover of economics. Plus, I am not a US citizen. I am an Indian. So the review is going to be from the perspective of an Indian who does not like politics and economics. Also, in the second half, I'll quote a few points which Obama has mentioned about India. Alright, now let's start. I listened to this book via Audible because the cost of the hardcover is a bit on a higher side. It's around 1,500 rupees right now. But in Audible, it's available for around 200 rupees. And the narrator of the book in Audible is Obama himself. So I basically love that heavy voice of Obama. So I really enjoyed listening to this book in Audible. So you guys can also try this book from Audible. Speaking about the length of this book, it's around 700 pages, and in Audible, it'll take you around 29 hours to complete reading this book. The book starts with Obama stating how he started writing this book. And initially, he thought this book would just land up in 500 pages, but it took around 700 pages for him to mention all the points that he wanted to. I mean, he elaborated it so much that it became 700 pages. Also, it's not over yet. There is a second part of this volume coming up as well. This is just the first half, so it's going to be like very long. In the initial pages of this book, he has mentioned about his origin and how disconnected he was from politics, because there was no one in his family who was related to politics, and they never had a conversation anytime in their family about politics. And he has also mentioned that he and his family used to celebrate July 4th, that's the Independence Day of America, and Christmas with the same intensity and spirit. And the conversations which he shared with his friends were also quite normal. It used to be about basketball and music, and also he used to find refuge in books. He's also mentioned about good morals which were passed on to him by his single parent, his mother. And somewhere around, he used to also face racism from the society. And as he grew up, he had these thoughts as in why certain movements worked while some did not. For him, his America is a land where people are all equal, no superiority and no racism, definitely. In midst of all these racist activities that was prevailing then, he did observe that there are people like single mothers who just worked hard to give their children a better life, and the priests in the church who opened the gates for the children to just come in. All that he could find is humanity in them, and he understood that these small activities can actually change a lot in others' life. From here, he started having a lot of mature questions as in how far did our obligations to the society extend and how the social changes happen. And then he gets into politics and he finds the right people who can work along with him in his team. So from here, the presidential time period starts in the book. So until now, I love this book because there was not much of politics in there. But rest part of this book is all about politics, economics, and majorly about America. And I couldn't relate much because I'm not a political or economics lover, as I mentioned before, and I'm not an American. So it becomes difficult for me to relate things which are being mentioned in there. I will speak about the points which he has mentioned about India in this book. But before that, I thought I should definitely share a few points in this book which I found were very thoughtful, as in the hurdles he went through in order to just balance his professional and personal life. And in 2009, during the global financial crisis, he used to receive a lot of letters. And he has quoted one letter which he received from a mother, wherein she has mentioned that she doesn't have the same opportunity which her parents used to have, wherein her parents used to tell her that if you work hard and sacrifice, everything is possible, like anything is possible. But I cannot tell it to my child because the government has failed here. And every day he used to read such letters before sleeping. So these thoughts used to be there all the time when he used to go to bed. He has also mentioned about his part and thoughts in saving tigers from getting extinct, and about global warming, racism, fighting against terrorism. And also in the last chapter, it's just completely about killing Osama bin Laden as a retaliation for September 11th terrorist attack which happened in America. Alright, now I'll speak about the points he has mentioned about India, and after that I'll give my point of view as in whether I suggest you to read this book or not. Okay, so the first time he has mentioned about India is in chapter 14, and in chapter 14 he has just in fact mentioned about Manmohan Singh and nothing else about India, and that's just like 2 to 3 points. In this chapter, he has actually praised Manmohan Singh by stating that he's a very wise, thoughtful, gentle and soft-spoken person who has managed to lift millions of people from poverty, and that he had engineered the modernization of India's economy. The next time he has mentioned about India is in chapter 24, but I honestly thought that he would be mentioning about India somewhere in between chapter 18 to 21, because that's where he has mentioned about the world as it is. But it's in chapter 24 that he has again mentioned about India, and that's in the part in the battle. He started by saying that he had a special place for India because while he was young, he used to listen to Mahabharata and Ramayana, and later during college, he used to have friends from Pakistan and India who used to share details about Bollywood. But his fascination for India is always Mahatma Gandhi. He has mentioned that just like Lincoln and Mandela, he has been very much influenced by Mahatma Gandhi. And once when he was in Mumbai, he visited Mani Bhavan, which is like a historic building completely dedicated to Mahatma Gandhi. And when he was there, he really wished that he could at least once see Mahatma Gandhi and just ask him how he did a lot from just little, and how he recovered from disappointment. He has also mentioned one point about India, which I thought I should read as it is, and hence I made a note of it to read out to you guys. And that goes this way. Despite its economical progress, when it is mentioned, it's India, okay? So despite its economical progress, divided by religion, caste, corrupted, India remained a chaotic and impoverished place divided by religion and caste, captive to the whims of corrupt local officials and power brokers, hamstrung by a parochial bureaucracy that was resistant to change. Something that we need to think about, right? And later one day he had dinner with Manmohan Singh and his wife at Manmohan Singh's home, wherein he got some private time to speak with Manmohan Singh, wherein Manmohan Singh spoke about the worries that he had related to economical crisis in India, and also about the rifts between Pakistan and India that was going on then. And then he has put in some points about Manmohan Singh, Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi, which definitely led to a bit of controversy in India. And the statements are like this. So he has mentioned that more than one political observer thinks Sonia Gandhi chose Manmohan Singh, who has no political base, as he posed no threat for Rahul Gandhi, whom she was grooming to take over Congress party. Sonia Gandhi listened more than she spoke, often steering conversation towards her son. Rahul Gandhi is smart, good looking, but nervous like a student who wants to impress his teacher, but deep inside lacked aptitude or passion to master the subject. From these points, we can understand that he's very open and blatant in his book. And it's just not about India. He's also mentioned about other country leaders and other country people, like Turkey Prime Minister, about the youth of China who interviewed him, and also about the China president then, Hu Jintao, how he used to feel sleepy while they used to share a conversation. Alright, so now my take on whether you should read this book or not. So first point is that the cost is on a higher side. So definitely if you want to pick this book, then I would urge you guys to pick it up from Audible. The second point is that the book is written in a very good language, like polished. You know how Obama speaks ideally, right? I mean, the same way he has written the book as well. It's very professional. The third point, I felt as a person who doesn't like politics, again I'm coming to the same point, it's a bit dragging. It's definitely like long book. It's 700 pages. So if you do not like politics, economics, if you're not an American, just like I felt, you might also feel it a bit dragging. If you also do not like politics much, what I would suggest is go ahead and read the memoir of Michelle Obama, Becoming. It's not a political oriented book like this one, so you get a more of personal touch in that particular book, Becoming. And if you're not an American, then only certain parts of this book would be triggering, just like the way I mentioned, whenever Obama has spoken about India, that's when I got the urge to read it. But otherwise, the rest part of the book feels like a bit dragging to me. Alright, so now you know whether to read this book or not. Until we meet next time, this is Nivea signing off. If you've not subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe. Bye, take care, happy reading.